Well, hey everyone, welcome to Vision Night at PVC Online. We are so glad that you have joined us today. In fact, happy birthday! October 1st is our 19th birthday as a church, and we couldn't think of a better way to celebrate. We are so excited about what God is doing, and we know it keeps getting better. Today, we have the chance to hear from Pastor Ryan about Daring Faith, along with some guests to share some stories we have seen along the way. We are so excited that you are here, and before Pastor Ryan shares, let's spend a few minutes together worshiping as a church.
Well, welcome to Palm Valley Church, everyone. Would you stand up with us? Come on. When night is falling, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. I've decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and you won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. In every season, you keep repeating your promises to me. Now there's no stopping when you have started until it is complete. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. I decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. In my soul. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. I decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. Come on. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out, breaking out. Hey! Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. See, nothing can separate us from His love. You see, God is tuned into our voices individually. He hears our cries like a father hears the cries of his children. I want to read to you from Psalm 34. It says, "The eyes of the Lord look over the righteous. His ears are open to their cries for help." He hears you. The Lord hears His people when they call to Him for help. He rescues them from all their troubles. I want to read to you Psalm 23. We've heard it many times, but maybe this will give you a glimpse of how much the Father loves us, how he walks beside us. You see, when we call on the name of Jesus, we're invoking his power and his presence, his power to heal, his power to rescue, and his power to forgive. Psalm 23 says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessings. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever." We're gonna call out the name of Jesus right now, who has the power to save. The power of his presence is among us right now. We lift it up. You walk with me through the fire. You rescue me in the flames. And when I'm tired and weary, I call on no other name. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. And there is no other name. Yeah. You walk with me. You walk with me by still waters. You stand with me in the rain. And when I'm anxious and lonely, I call on no other name. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. And there is no other name. Come on, say that again with us. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. And there is no other name. Even in the darkest times of our life, he walks beside us. He replaces fear with joy. We give him the glory through the shadows as he lights our path. You walk with me through the shadows, and you light each step that I take. And when my fear comes to find me, I call on no other name. Come on, declare that again. You walk with me. And you walk with me through the shadows. You light each step, God. You light each step that I take. And when my fear comes to find me, oh Lord, I call on no other name. Oh, I call on
Happy birthday, Palm Valley Church. Man, October 1st, 19 years ago, we held our very first public service at the Palm Valley Cinemas, which no longer exists now. It's medical office building. Man, I wish I would have snagged one of those theater chairs for the Palm Valley Museum. But hey, we are celebrating 19 years today. And yeah, I just kind of got reflective about it. I was thinking about what the emotions that were going on that very first morning. And, I was just a volunteer. My wife, Adrian, and I, we had just graduated from college. We were jumping in to help Pastor Greg and Lori launch Palm Valley Church. And I remember kind of our first big sacrifice. So Adrian had graduated from college, I graduated. This is time to get that first car. So what did we do? We went out and bought a station wagon. We bought a station wagon, not really the cool 22-year-old car, but we needed the room to be able to transport all the equipment back and forth each week. So that was our personal cool sacrifice to launch Palm Valley Church. But that's kind of how it went back then. Everything on deck, whatever it takes, whether that's maxing out the credit cards, don't tell Dave Ramsey, just whatever it took to get this started. And man, how God has been faithful over the years. We're just excited about what God has done, what God is doing. And throughout our history, it's a story of faith, taking daring steps of faith, whether it was that, initial launch, just going all in on that, whether it was campaigns to raise awareness, moving into our first facility, launching campuses. Each step has been a step of faith. And, as I stepped into this role, coming December 1st, it'll be 5 years that I'll be the lead pastor here at Palm Valley Church. After kind of the dust settled, after I kind of got my footing, I really felt like we need to look towards the future. What is it that God's calling us to do next? So in the spring of 2017, we launched Daring Faith, which is really just an ongoing story. We've always been taking daring steps of faith, but we were just kind of laid out a foundation, said, by the year 2020, what could we believe that God could do in and through our church body? So we used the acrostic FAITH, F-A-I-T-H. We said, would it be amazing if we were able to facilitate 10,000 people in worship here at Palm Valley Church? What if we were able to assist 25,000 children and families in our local community? What if we took the I in faith and interconnected our fellowship through new technology? We made some investments in that area. What if for T, we trained 5,000 pastors and ministry leaders, both here locally and around the world? And for the H, what if we helped spread the gospel locally and globally by reaching 3,000 people, helping 3,000 people step across the line of faith, introducing them into a relationship with Christ? When we laid these things out, we talked about it that spring of 2017, and as a church, we got excited about that. Everyone got on board, and we made commitments. Grow, sow, and go. That we're going to grow in our faith to accomplish these things. We're going to invest in personal disciplines and help God grow us and stretch our faith. That we're going to sow, we're going to put some resources in God's hands, that we're going to make commitments to give over and above, or for some people to give for the very first time, because all these initiatives take resources. These things just don't happen without financial input. So we made some sow commitments, and then a ton of go commitments. I'm going to start serving, I'm going to go on a local missions opportunity, I'm going to go around the world to help accomplish this. People getting out of their seats and getting involved. And man, it's been exciting to see what God's doing. It's the 2020 vision. It all wraps up at our 20th anniversary. So here we are right now, 1 year away from when Daring Faith officially ends. Now, I know some of you guys made kind of financial commitments that were 3 years based on that springtime, so maybe those are coming up here in a couple months. But officially as a church, this is all wrapping up on our 20th anniversary, 1 year from today. So what I'd like to do today is give us a progress update. Where are we at? How are we doing with these things? How has God worked in and through our church body? And I'm just going to kind of walk step by step through all of these initiatives, tell what's happened so far, what we're trusting God to do in the next year, and share some stories. Because these are big goals, these are big tasks, but they're about people. Because Palm Valley Church is a place where people matter. So it's about the individual. So the first area that I want to talk about is the F. Help facilitate 10,000 people in worship. Now that's a lot of people. Now, here at Palm Valley Church, on an average weekend, we have about 3,400 people that attend one of our campuses. That's Goodyear, Buckeye, online. And that's a far ways away from 10,000. But I just want to share with you just one of the stats that's happening right now in church culture. Culture's changing a little bit. People are getting busier than they ever have before. That isn't an excuse. We don't call people to a higher standard, but the reality is, recent statistic was done that the average church attender, someone that's committed to going to church, this isn't someone that's just kind of casual, like, oh yeah, I go Christmas and Easter. No, but the average attender that says, I go to Palm Valley Church or CCV, Christ Church of the Valley, or Redemption Church, any of the churches here in the Valley, attends 1.7 times per month. 1.7 times per month. Now, at first you might be like, oh, I attend way more than that. Maybe you do, but the average is 1.7. That means that here at Palm Valley Church, over the course of 1 month, we have between 7,000 and 8,000 people that attend on a monthly basis here at Palm Valley Church. So that's a very large footprint. That's a very large impact that God is working in and through Palm Valley Church. That doesn't mean that we're getting close to our goal. I mean, when we set that goal, we really were imagining and praying for 10,000 people here on our weekend. So we still have some initiatives. We still have some ways that we want God to work in and through us. And the way that we do that is personal invitation. At the end of the day, we do lots of things in our community to invest and invite and get the name out there, but it requires people to invite their friends and neighbors. So we kicked off this fall. Fall's a natural growth time. We kicked it off with This Is How We Do It, the series about our physical health. And so many of you invited your friends, invited your neighbors, hey, come along, check out church. And it's so many positive experiences. And then we followed that up with another kind of outreach-oriented series. I mean, we grew personally, we challenged, but it's easy to invite people to series like the ones we do in the fall. So we started with This Is How We Do It, and then we did the Relationships Made Simple. And I've just had such incredible conversations in the lobby and online with people that have invited friends and neighbors. You know, we have some people that we invited that started attending this series, and the impact that it makes, because it's so practical, right? Like, that's one of the issues people in our community have with church, that it doesn't connect with what I'm currently going through, but it does. Everyone deals with relationships. Everyone has to struggle with these things. So when the church, we know that Jesus is the answer, but when we can make that connection on the weekend, it is so impactful. So we're always encouraging, no matter what the topic is, invite someone, because we're going to make it accessible. But one of the things I'm really excited about as we head into kind of this last part of fall is that we have another incredible push. And to talk about that, I've invited Pastor Fernando to come and join us today. Pastor Fernando is over our worship arts department. So tell me, what all does that encompass? Because that's a pretty broad area, right?
Yeah. What is all the worship arts encompass,
Yeah,
or what we're
yeah.
looking for? So worship arts and marketing, actually, those are the two areas that I oversee.
Yeah.
And so worship arts is the weekend experience. So what do people actually experience on the weekend? All the guests that we invite to our services, down from minute one of the service to the last minute of our services. And so that's across all of our campuses, our online campus, Buckeye campus, and here in Goodyear as well. And then, of course, the marketing communication kind of speaks for itself, where we're just trying to get the word out, brand Palm Valley Church in our communities, to get people to know who we are and to feel compelled to come to our church.
And it's a partnership, because you're providing tools and resources, but it's up to our people to make the personal invitation. I mean, some people come just from the website.
Yeah.
Come through, they check us out and show up, but the vast majority of people are invited by someone.
Yeah.
But the work you guys do helps them, right? Like, oh, I've heard of that church, or oh, I watched a video.
Exactly.
Or
they
stuff
saw
like
our stickers driving around town. But yeah, to your point, the most powerful way to get somebody in our doors that hasn't been here before is through a personal invitation.
Yeah. So one of the biggest invite seasons is coming up, Christmas time. Tell us, what are the plans for Christmas? What do you guys want to see happen?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm glad we're talking about Christmas this early, because like all the retailers around here, like they get a head start on it, so we're kind of competing with them now. But I'm glad we're talking about it. It's like, it's less than 100 degrees outside. People are putting on their sweaters.
Yeah.
Everyone's feeling like it's Christmas season already. So I'm glad we're talking about it right now. But Christmas at Palm Valley Church is always an exciting time. And one of the reasons is because people are so much more open to actually attending an experience, right? So as a dad and as a husband myself, we've spent countless dollars driving through big parking lots with tons of lights in there, right? We're just trying to driving through this thing and just seeing spinning lights and music and this and that. We've gone up north to drive on a train to hear the same story told over and over again.
Yeah.
And again, people during Christmas time, they want a tradition and they want an experience.
Right.
And so this Christmas season, we're really going to equip our church and our church family with two things. One of them, I just want to give you a glimpse of like how we approach our Christmas services and how we program them.
Right.
So there's three things we try to accomplish in our Christmas services. One, we want to make it fun, right?
Yeah.
We want to break down walls. We want to sprinkle in some levity during the service, so that way people just feel comfortable that they're at a church, right? And I love what you always say, Pastor Ryan. You always say, we don't take ourselves too seriously, but we take Jesus very seriously.
Right.
And we definitely don't take ourselves too seriously. So we want to make it fun. We want to make it comfortable for people when they attend.
Yeah.
Two, we want to create a wow experience. there's nothing better than when we see people kind of whisper to each other during service and they just go, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because it compels them and motivates them more and more to actually invite somebody to come check this out because they don't want them to miss that wow experience.
Yeah.
And then the last one is probably the most important one. It's just power. The power of the story of Jesus tells itself, right? So powerful moments throughout service, telling in a new way, possibly, of the story of the creator of the universe coming down to earth as a child, placed in a manger here for us to restore relationships with us. So like there's power in that. So those three things are things we think about. We're still planning services right now. We're still brainstorming, but those are kind of our goals.
I didn't expect you guys had it all wrapped up here October 1st.
I'm really glad to hear that. That's good, because we're still talking through it right now.
Yeah.
But one thing we did plan ahead. So one, the services, that's a glimpse of our services, but two, we have been planning ahead on one thing. And so since the beginning of the year, we wanted to put together a Christmas at Palm Valley Church album.
Right.
And so you mentioned earlier, it's 19-year anniversary. Over 19 years, we've had 19 Christmas experiences. And we have an amazing team of musicians and talented individuals who put things together every year, creative arrangements, original songs, things like that. And so we put together a Christmas album that's really a glimpse of what people can expect at Palm Valley Church at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And so we'll have that available the weekend of Thanksgiving. And so because we ask people to invite, we want to give them something cool to hand out. And so we're covering all our bases with this album, right? One, for those people that are up to date, right, that stream music, we're going to have it on all the streaming sites available for them. But for those folks, and I was thinking about this morning as I drove in, I have an older car, I still have a CD player in there.
Nice.
And I know a lot of people still use CDs.
Yep.
And so we also have a CD available for them as well. So it's going to kind of cast a wide net for anybody out there. No excuses. You can hand out a Christmas at Palm Valley Church album. Hey, I would love for you to come to my church. Here's something cool you can listen to. There's tons of traditional music in there as well. But one thing I'm really excited about is that we wrote an original song. And it's called This Child. And so I just kind of mentioned about the power of Christmas is summed up with that one child. His name was Jesus, right?
That's so cool.
And so this child talks about this baby who came to earth, who was humble yet holy, right? And the chorus, I'm going to read the chorus to you before we show you guys the song. It says, "One day this child will empty a grave. At the hands of this baby, death will be slain. His kingdom will triumph. Jesus will reign, and heaven will open. So don't be afraid." And so, we're so excited to share that with our church. One thing we're going to do right now is we're going to play for you guys and show you a glimpse of this song. It's a little bit, it's like an acoustic version of it. It's scaled back to what we're going to be performing at Christmas, but we'd love to share with our church body and show you guys what to expect this Christmas.
What we've been waiting for, the promised Messiah, the tidings the angels came to share of the birth of our Savior. Come, let us see this King, humble and holy, holding a promise for this world and a peace that is coming. 'Cause one day this child will empty a grave. At the hands of this baby, death will be slain. His kingdom will triumph, Jesus will reign, heaven will open, so don't be afraid. Our salvation, sent here from heaven, willing to give his life away for the sake of his children. 'Cause one day this child will empty a grave. At the hands of this baby, death will be slain. Oh, his kingdom will triumph, Jesus will reign, heaven will open, so don't be afraid. What are we waiting for? Run to the Savior. The arms of our King are open wide. He is risen in splendor. This very same child is emptied the grave. At the hands of this baby, death has been slain. Oh, his kingdom has triumphed. Jesus now reigns. Heaven is open, so don't be afraid. Oh, your glory above us, all heaven sings your praise. Your presence among us, on earth we do the same. Your glory above us, all heaven sings your praise. Your presence among us, on earth we do the same. This very same child has emptied the grave. At the hands of this baby, death has been slain. His kingdom is triumphed. Jesus now reigns. Heaven is open, so don't be afraid. This very same child has emptied the grave. At the hands of this baby, death has been slain. His kingdom has triumphed. Jesus now reigns. Heaven is open, so don't be afraid.
Wow, what a great song, man. I just love that our team just so creative and be able to put together that song, and more importantly, how we're gonna be able to leverage that for Christmas this year to just fill up the house, get people to attend church on our Christmas services. You know, the next area that I want to talk about is the A in Daring Faith, which is assist 25,000 children and families. Now, when we first felt like God was leading us to write down that goal, we were like, how are we going to reach that? 25,000, that's a ton of people. That's so many people here in our community. But through partnerships, through the events that we've done in the community, we are making great progress. In fact, I want to share with you just a little bit what's happened so far this year. So this is not cumulative total, this is just 2019. So we've done several events. The Backpacks and More event in the Avondale School District, Mobile Food Pantry, Love Our Schools Day, Make a Difference Day, Foster Adoption Easter events, Teacher Appreciation. With all of those events taking place, we've reached 5,244 children and families. So that's a ton, that's a lot. Yet we still have two of our biggest events. In Buckeye, they're doing a great outreach, a great opportunity to reach the community through Thanksgiving. And then we also have the Toys and More Drive, which is a great way that we impact the Avondale School District. Through those two events, we're looking at being up close to 10,000 children and family just this year. So we've already reached our goal over these 3 years, 25,000. We've surpassed that. We're excited about what God's doing. But those numbers are easy to just kind of gloss over. You know, large groups of people, things are taking place. But what does it look like, the impact we're making on individuals? In fact, I've invited one of our incredible partners, Leanne. Leanne is the executive director of the Agua Fria Food Bank. She's been working with us for many years now. In fact, Leanne, how long have we been working together?
I started 4 years ago, so probably just after that.
Yeah, and we kind of had like a casual relationship, if things were needed. But yeah, since you've kind of stepped in, we've formed really a partnership. And we've done so many of these events together. And it's just been incredible to it's not just about the church going in and solving these problems, because there are amazing community partners doing good work. You do incredible work each and every day. And if we can just be a support to what you're doing, I think that's just the best way to go about it. So, Leanne, why don't you take us out of these high-level stats, and could you just share one story that just kind of sticks out to you, that explains what this partnership looks like and the impact it's made on individuals?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many. It's hard to choose just one story when there have been so many events. As you said, we've grown in our partnership together and we've added more and more events. And each of those events, we've added more and more elements to each one. And so it's been exciting to watch that process and see how we've grown in our partnerships and added new partners to come alongside us together. And so I think sometimes it is hard, especially for me. I know I get down in the weeds. We spend so many hours together planning each of these events with each and every little detail. And I remember last Christmas during our Toys and More, I just wanted to take a moment and just step out of the food distribution area and take a walk around and look at how all of those moving pieces come together on the day of the event and just really take a look at the impact. And I remember I came up to the line where kids were waiting to take pictures with Santa and Mrs. Claus. And there was just this beautiful bench, and they were just, legit.
Yeah.
And the kids were excited, and I noticed right away this one little boy and his excitement as he got closer and closer to the front of the line. You just couldn't miss it. And when it was his turn and that volunteer said, "All right, go meet Santa," the joy on his face as he stretched out his arms and literally ran to Santa and buried his face into his chest and into his beard and just hugged him. And Santa just let him. He just held him for those few moments. And I literally teared up in that moment because I knew the presence of the Lord was right there. And all the time that we had spent, all the work, all of the hours, all of the volunteers, all of the effort was for that one kid in that one moment. And it meant so much to me to be able to be present, to see that, to witness it. And I treasure that memory and that moment and that little boy whose name I don't even know, but I know that the work that we did together made a difference in his life that day.
Yeah. I just love that moment, right? Because thousands of hours went into coordinating volunteers and getting all the materials there, all that stuff. But if we lose sight of the individual child, then we kind of miss the point, right? And by the way, Santa Claus goes to Palm Valley Church. So he attends 10 o'clock service. His wife is one of our section hosts, so it was amazing. And some people might push, like, why did you put Santa Claus at the front of this? But that's what these kids, we reach kids where they're at. And through the course of that morning, we got to be able to share with him the hope and love of Jesus Christ, that, the Christmas story. And not to take elements away or make them feel bad, but let's just meet you where you're at. Let's meet a real need and just bring joy to this child's face. And that took hundreds of volunteers and many organizations. But that's what happens when we invest together. And that's the impact that's been taking place. So we reached 25,000, this year over that. So we're done with our partnership. I'm just kidding. We're just getting started. We're excited to see what God's doing. This is just the beginning of what God is doing when people work together, when organizations work together to give God the glory. So thanks so much for your partnership. Thanks so much for your work there at the Agua Fria Food Bank.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Tonight, we're celebrating Palm Valley's 19th anniversary. And since our start, God has designed Palm Valley Church with a unique DNA, a seed that He's planted for this body of believers. God has moved in the hearts of our church and over time has allowed us to see thousands of lives changed. Behind the scenes of each of these stories are the generous members of our PVC family, members who are sacrificially giving towards the legacy of God's story through Palm Valley Church. Over the past year, your generosity has funded many stories of life change. God has so much more in store for Palm Valley Church. As we continue to grow our attendance through our Goodyear, Buckeye, and online communities, we are so thankful to you for being part of the legacy of life change in the West Valley.
Man, grow, sow, and go. And that's been our action steps in this Daring Faith. And we talk about all of the people that we've impacted, that God has worked in and through our church body, those 25,000 children families. That was possible only by people doing all three of those things. Now this next one, the I in Daring Faith, really has a lot to do with sow, because these are resources that's interconnecting our church through new technology. There's some financial investments in technologies that have taken place, but it doesn't mean that it's cold and impersonal. It's to connect people, because people matter. So as we started this initiative, we've done several things so far. Just kind of give you an update. Because of your giving, because of the sowing that people have given in Daring Faith, we have, up to this point, redesigned our website, launched our church app, released Right Now Media, which is an opportunity for people to have access to all kinds of video curriculum, Bible studies there at their home. The PVC Church podcast that happens weekly with Pastor Mark, leadership and church development, all of these things have been made available because of your generous giving. This is how we're connecting our church through new technology, leveraging these resources to be able to help people connect relationally. But the main one happened about a year ago, and it's our online campus. And today I've invited Pastor Jeremiah, who is our online campus pastor, to just share a little bit about it. And to be honest, Jeremiah, you were talking to me about online for a while leading up to this, but I was a little bit resistant. Like, I just couldn't see, like, how can people go to, I get watching a video online, but church online, that's a little bit different. But you guys convinced me. You guys, hey, let's try this out. Showed where it's working in some other churches that relationships do happen online. And that's just such an important part of it. So why don't you just tell me a little bit, why does church work online, and who's engaging with it right now?
Yeah, I think church online works because everybody's online.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere you go, people, you'll maybe having a conversation, and then as soon as you walk away, someone pulls out their phone and they go online. And so there's this constant weave of online, offline that happens. And so church online works because people are online. It's another location where they are. And so similar as, we're in Goodyear and we're in Buckeye, that's where people are. Well, people are online as well. And so online works because that's where people are. And it's another chance to connect people who may not be able to come to church. And so, we've gone through multiple phases of kind of who's our target. And right now I'm realizing there's really three different types of people who are engaging online. So there's the people who maybe they attend Palm Valley regularly on one of our Goodyear or Buckeye locations, but something happens. Kids get sick and they can't attend church physically, and so they join in online. So there's that side of people. There's also a whole pocket of people who are just checking us out. And we say online is really our front door. And so it's people who just check out, just want to see what Palm Valley is about. Maybe they saw a sticker, maybe they got an invite and they're like, let me just see what this is before I go. And so they check out PVC online.
My wife Adrian was telling me a story about that recently. She's one of the online hosts and met a gal online, and then ended up physically meeting her at the Goodyear campus, gave her a tour around and got her connected.
Yeah, but seeing her, they were here, that family joined, and then they've been here a couple times in Goodyear, and then a couple times they've been online as well. So they're jumping back and forth between them. And then there's another pocket of people that are just, by proximity, they can't physically be here. Maybe they attended Palm Valley and then they moved away. Maybe they just found Palm Valley when they needed it. And so
a friend of a friend, that type of stuff happens.
They got shared on social media or something, and they found Palm Valley Church. And so it's just another way to reach those three different types of people, both here around one of our locations, but also really around the world.
Yeah. So what we've been trying to kind of do with these updates is let's get personal. So we talk about the impact that it's making. All those people watch online each week, participate. Can you tell me like a story of like the impact that online has made on an individual?
Yeah, it's been super awesome to see. I think back to a few months ago, a little while ago, there was a gal who joined in online on Sunday morning and joined in the chat and had, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like it said Yvette in UK. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. And it was the first time I realized, wait, there's people joining in from across the world. Her name is Yvette, and she lives in the United Kingdom. And from that moment, really started to see that the impact it's making. Yvette used to attend Palm Valley Church and moved away. And so she's there. There's a guy named Cody, and him and his family are in Germany. He's in the military. And so Cody gets to join us online. And I got to share in Goodyear a couple weeks ago is Patrick and Kayla, who are missionaries in Nigeria, who get to join PVC Online. And so it's just, we're seeing that Palm Valley is making an impact, not just in our local area, but around the world. And it's continuing, and they're able to share it with their friends. And but then you see some, like Sandy. Sandy is battling cancer, and she's kicking cancer's butt right now. And she lives in the East Valley and sometimes can't make it here, so she joins online. And so it's truly amazing to see these people that are doing it. And I think as well as there's a gal who, there was the shootings in El Paso a month or so ago. And that happened over the weekend, and that next morning, a gal from El Paso found our church that morning when she needed it the most, and found hope and found Jesus in that day. And so it's just amazing to see God work at just the right time in a new tool, a tool that hasn't been around that long. Online church has only been around in some of the biggest churches for like 15 years. So it's really new. And for us, 1 year, and we're seeing God move in incredible ways each and every week.
Yeah. And this takes an investment to do this. I mean, you think what all is involved, but you can have an online campus, but without an online campus pastor, someone caring and shepherding for those people, then it's just a crowd. Then it's just watching a video. But Jeremiah, you do an incredible job caring for the people on there, helping them move forward in their relationship with Christ. So it really is a campus. It is a church.
And we're trying to find more ways to do it. Looking at how do we do small groups and how their relationships. We've talked through how do we get Growth Track online and people able to really take next steps. So it's not just watching a video at a designated time, but it's, there's 167 other hours in the week. How do we capitalize on that online and allow people just to continue to move forward in their faith?
All right. Well, thanks so much for your leadership in this. We're excited to see how God is using this component of Daring Faith. Even when we launched Daring Faith, we didn't think this was going to be part of interconnecting our church through new technology. But God gave us this opportunity, nudged us in that direction, and we're just seeing some great results. So grow, sow, go. That sowing part, that financial investment has made a lot of these things possible. So we're excited to see what God is doing in the area of interconnecting our church through new technology.
Palm Valley Church is a place where people matter. Even if you have been going to church your whole life or you have never set foot in a church, we would love for you to check out PVC Online. PVC Online is a community of people from all walks of life discovering what it means to live out our faith on a day-to-day basis. Maybe your day-to-day activities look like family time at the park or spending time with friends. It could be your work schedule doesn't allow you to attend church, but through PVC Online, you can experience church together whether you are close by or far apart. We would love to invite you to join us every Sunday at 10 and 11:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time or on demand anytime at palmvalley.org/online.
The T in our Daring Faith campaign stands for Training 5,000 Pastors and Leaders. One of our hearts here at Palm Valley Church is we consider ourselves a hospital for people that are hurting. That if you are struggling, if you're feeling like you need care, this is a place where people matter. Come here and get healing. And let God work in and through our church body. But we're not just a hospital, we're a teaching hospital. We want to help other churches get better, not just churches far, but churches locally, churches right here by us. We coach, we train leaders, we do it around the world. And this is one of those things where we said, if we can help a church get healthy, that has a multiplying effect. It's not just helping one person, it's helping someone that's going to in turn help dozens or hundreds more. So we've been doing this for the last 3 years. We've been going to Ivory Coast, we've been going to Haiti, we've been going to the Navajo reservation, we've been doing some training here locally, and through all of these efforts, we've equipped over, just right now, 1,625 pastors and ministry leaders. Some of those far in Côte d'Ivoire, some of those right here in our own community. And we're just really excited about this, but instead of just kind of keeping this a high level, I've invited Pastor Darius to share a little bit with us, and you've been helping us with, specifically in Côte d'Ivoire. How many trips have you made over there so far?
I believe it's been 4 so far.
4 so far.
Yeah.
And the impact of this, we could go and you could do a mission trip to a foreign country and you can see the needs there and we can meet those. But when you help pastors, the impact is just exponential. We're able to help tons of people through that. So, Darius, why don't you share just a little bit about what you've seen God do over there and maybe a personal story as well.
It's been very encouraging watching God at work because we get to see up close and personal churches' lives being changed. And this is one of my favorite parts about going back over and over again. It's like we show up and we train some pastors and we share some things, and then we come back, few months later, we're like, they actually put it into practice. And you can see the benefits of it. You can see the fruit of it.
They don't mess around.
I love it. I love it. So it's so much fun watching them actually take the things we talk about and put into practice. And just one pastor that really stands out to me in the midst of this, his name was Dr. Noel. When we visited Dr. Noel, and I remember it was a Friday. We went to go visit him on a Friday, and we sat down and we shared our vision for what God had called us to do in Côte d'Ivoire, how we're going to help train pastors and leaders so they can have healthy churches to make an impact for the entire country. And Dr. Noel, really joyful, was smiling and listening. And then when it's his turn to speak, he began to share with us. I mean, he'd only been doing his role as president over the entire, Christian Missionary Alliance for 6 weeks at that point.
Yeah, he was brand new to that role.
Just put into that role, and he had a big vision for what God was going to do, and he began praying to God, that he would do some amazing things. And he was like listening to us and saying, you know what, this is basically the vision that God has placed in my heart, for Christian Missionary Alliance, which was now going to be for all of Côte d'Ivoire. So it's so encouraging listening to him share and get excited with this, and then for him to say, you know what, you guys are an answer to my prayer. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, that was amazing.
We're thinking like, oh my goodness, like maybe he'll want to partner with us, maybe not. But for him to even say, not only do I want to partner with you, but this is a blessing to us. It's something I've been praying about, and what God has already impressed upon my heart is incredible, because the guy oversees like over 1,000 churches.
Yeah. Pastor Noel, Dr. Noel is one of these 1,625.
Exactly.
But Pastor Noel oversees 1,000 churches with 1 million members. I remember he told us, he's like, we have 1 million members that go to our church. And at first, be honest, we're just like, all right, those are preacher numbers.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You don't have 1 million people that go to your church. But we spoke in 2 of his churches. He sent us.
That weekend.
Yeah, that weekend, which is part of that. When someone comes and talks to me about a ministry opportunity, like I take it in, I pray about it, I talk about it with some people, like we make a decision. He's like, we're in. Would you guys preach at 2 of my churches this weekend?
Yes.
Let them know about the vision.
It was Friday when he said that.
Yeah.
He moved us to these churches here, and what's so funny about him is I remember teaching at those churches. You and I went to different ones, but we had like the double translation going on, right? But here's what was cool. I remember about the church I went to. The first service was at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
And it was packed. I mean, they put our American churches to shame, right? I mean, not even close. 6 o'clock a.m. service, it was packed up in there. And, I'm sharing in English, and then my translator translates it to French, and then a third guy translates it into the native language.
Yeah, the tribal language from the Central region.
Oh, my goodness. I promise you, though, it was a little bit like I would say something that lasts for a couple minutes, and then this next guy would talk, and the third guy would say like 3 words. And I'd be like,
it was the message paraphrase of what we were saying.
That's exactly what it was. I was like, I don't know, but that was actually really cool. Like right away, got us plugged right in, was super excited about having us be there, and to see the difference it can make now, knowing that thousands of churches will be getting more and more healthy because God has put him in place, and we got a chance to meet with them. Absolutely love that. God is at work in huge ways.
And on that trip, that was one of, I believe, 6 denominational leaders we met with.
Right.
So these numbers, 1,625, some of those here local, we train ministry leaders. In fact, just the other night, we had a Better Together event.
Yeah.
We had ministry leaders come over, and you're sitting at a table with about 10 other pastors in similar roles, and you're pouring to them, and some of them have influence over maybe a dozen people or 50 people. They all are multiplying, right?
Yeah.
Like when we pour into a leader, we're pouring to multiple people.
Yep.
Some might be 12, some might be 50, some might be 1 million.
Right.
God's
Oh, my
economy is crazy,
goodness.
but we're just called to go. We're called to, and we treat those, this is what I love about just the heart of our ministry. We treat Pastor Noel the same as we treat the ministry leader down the street that's just running a youth ministry. We're gonna give him our same attention, same focus, because we want to be effective in ministry. And that happens because of Daring Faith.
Yeah.
That there are some people that go. God is called to go, and we've taken many people on these ministry trips down to Haiti, down to Côte d'Ivoire, down to Mexico, helping with Verve Church, helping that church reach its community.
San Carlos.
The Navajo Reservation. We sent a couple pastors and leaders up there. It's just amazing what God's doing. So that's people going, but it's also people sowing.
Yeah.
That it takes resources to do this, and it's making a huge impact. And I'm going to be going back to Côte d'Ivoire in November. And we're hopefully going to be put on the largest conference we've done so far. So the goal is to have over 1,000 pastors and ministry leaders there. Could be more than that, but we are moving towards that goal. We set out that big goal, 5,000 pastors and leaders. Right now we're at 1,625, but it's so much more than that, right? You can't really accurately count how many people this is impacting. So, man, Darius, thanks so much for partnering in this and being willing to go and leave your family for weeks at a time, several times. I know that's a sacrifice on multiple ends, but it's making a kingdom difference. And thank you so much for the impact that you are making through Daring Faith around the globe with people that you won't meet this side of heaven. But when you get there, they're gonna be able to connect those dots. You're gonna see how your resources impacted people all over.
repose beaucoup plus sur ces projets comme ceux qui ont été réussis au Rwanda. Nous avons grand espoir que la Côte d'Ivoire sera bénie et sera un prochain modèle de cette réussite qui a eu lieu au Rwanda. Que Dieu vous bénisse.
Hey, we're getting close to wrapping this up. You know, one of our theme verses through the Daring Faith campaign was Ephesians 3:20, and that God is able to do infinitely more than we could ever ask or imagine. And hopefully you've picked that up a little bit today. That these big God-sized goals, God has worked in and through our church body to accomplish some amazing things, and He's not done yet. And we still have another year to work on this. And really, it's kind of all summarized in this very last letter of faith, the H. Help spread the gospel locally and globally. You know, that's the heart of Palm Valley Church. That's the heart of every believer, is to invite other people into that invitation with God. And we can't make people make that decision. Our role, our responsibility is to set the table, is to present the gospel message, to demonstrate what the gospel looks like through serving, through meeting people's needs. And just do everything we can to lay it out there and then get out of the way. And God has been doing some great things. Now, the global, help spread the gospel globally, we can't track that number very well. We've poured into so many ministry partners around the world. They've spread the gospel that we know there's been tons of fruit in Africa and Haiti, down in Mexico. So we're not tracking those numbers, but what's happened right here at Palm Valley Church over the last 3 years? So 2017, we had 504 people start a relationship with Jesus Christ. In 2018, we had 517. And then so far this year, in the first 3 quarters, we've had 384. We're on track to once again be well above 500, each year increasing a little bit more. So we're excited to see what God is doing here in and through our church body. And this really summarizes what Daring Faith is all about, that we want to see the gospel advance. We want to see more people in heaven because we've been obedient to what God's called us to do, that we grow, we sow, and we go. Maybe you're here and you're hearing about Daring Faith for the first time. You've started attending Palm Valley Church, after the spring of 2017, so you weren't here for the big series, you weren't here for the big commitment. Maybe you've seen one of the walls or an advertisement, sitting out talking about Daring Faith, but you never really understood it fully until just right now. I want to let you know that we still have another year left. We still have one more year in this campaign to reach these goals, to continue letting God work in and through us. And maybe you never made a formal commitment to this. I would encourage you today, take a step of faith. Take a step of faith. Grow, sow, go. Take a growth step. How is God calling you to grow personally in order to expand your faith, in order to increase your discipline so that you are becoming more Christ-like in thought and attitude and action? Maybe that's reading through your Bible over this next year. Maybe it's spending more time in prayer. Maybe it's taking growth track, investing in your spiritual growth, taking a step there. Maybe it's in the area of sowing. Maybe you've been sitting kind of on the side for a while, just wondering, what difference would my resources make? Can I trust the church with my resources? Now, these are legitimate questions. I totally get those questions. When we put our resources in God's hands, when we put them in God's kingdom, they go and accomplish things so much greater than they can if we keep them. When we give, it's a demonstration of our faith that we're trusting God more than we're trusting our own resources. It's a step of obedience that God has called us to invest in His kingdom. But it's really a faith step. It's a faith step in this. And I could just bring up countless, I just tell you from my own personal life, my wife Adrian and I, during this Daring Faith campaign, have put our resources into God's kingdom, that we have been more generous during this season of our marriage and life than we ever have before. And can I tell you, we've received more joy, more contentment. God's blessings have been incredible during this season. We haven't gone without. We haven't lacked in any area. God has been faithful. And we've got to be a partner in what God is doing. And then finally, that last part is going. Going. Taking a step outside of yourself. Whether that's serving on the weekend. There's so many opportunities to serve each and every weekend. Most of these salvations that take place during our weekend services because we create an atmosphere with all our volunteers, all our ministry leaders to help people hear the gospel message clearly and compellingly. You can be part of that each and every weekend if you step up to serve, if you go to the connecting point if you go to the volunteer services and find a place to serve. You could go on one of our projects. Here coming up, we still have the Thanksgiving outreach in Buckeye. We still have the Toys and More project here in Goodyear. For you to get involved and step into the community to reach some of these needs. And then we also have regional mission trips. You can go to Verve in Vegas, you go to San Carlos Indian Reservation, you can go to Mexico, you can go to Haiti, you can go to Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast. There's so many opportunities for you to go. The point is, none of these are easy. And there are a million reasons why you have legitimate excuses not to take any of these steps, not to grow, not to sow, not to go. But I would encourage you as your pastor, take a daring step of faith. Take a daring step of faith. Trust God in these areas. If you want to know more about how to specifically take these, you can check out the link here that we're going to post up below. It's on our website, all the materials there. But if you'd like to talk it over with one of our pastors or one of our ministry leaders, we'd love to be able to connect the dots for you so that you can make one of these commitments. My prayer is that on this 19th birthday of Palm Valley Church, we've taken some time to celebrate God, what He has done. And that this isn't about our abilities, this isn't about our efforts, this is about how great Palm Valley Church is. This is about how great our God is. And when we say yes to what He's asking us to do, so much is possible. That we get a front row seat here at Palm Valley Church each and every week to life change, not just here in the four walls of our buildings or on any of our campuses online, Goodyear, Buckeye, but around the world. So this is a celebration of what God has done, and I hope it's been an encouragement to you. That if you've been investing, if you've been growing, sowing, and going, that it is making a difference. And maybe it's encouraging you to get off the bench and get in the game. Take a step of faith, get involved. But I can tell you just personally, there's no greater resource, or there's no greater investment of my time, my talents, my treasures than the local church. I hope you saw a little bit of this evening, and I hope that you take some time, and maybe you're watching this alone, share this with someone. Invite a friend, family member to, hey, this is what's happening in my church. I would love to invite you along. I'm praying for you. I'm excited about you. And I can't wait to see what God is going to do in this final year of Daring Faith as we begin to celebrate our 20th year of ministry here at Palm Valley Church. And I can't wait for the future beyond that. I'm praying for you. I'm excited about what God is going to do in and through your life.